Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting to order for Thursday, November 3rd. Please stand for the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, I just ask everyone to please double check any kind of phones or electronic devices just to make sure that they're either off or in vibrate mode so they don't ring during the meeting. This meeting was duly advertised with the LNP on December 1st of 2021. There were executive sessions. There was one on 10/31/2022. That was for HR and personnel. That went from approximately 10 a.m. to 11:55. There was an executive session on November 2nd via a conference call for personnel, and that was from 12:30 to 12:42. There was an executive session on November 3rd for employee reviews. That was from 8:05 this morning until 12:20 this afternoon. There was an executive session today from 4:30 for personnel for approximately 5 minutes. There was an executive session again today at 6:15 this evening till 6:42 this evening for personnel. Okay, past meeting minutes for approval. First one would be October 20th. That's the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes. Any changes, corrections, additions?
Yeah, on page 4 and 5, we talked last meeting about synopsis versus transcript when it comes to public comment or board comment. Things are a little wordy there, in my opinion, but I'm not really in the mood to change anything tonight, so I just want to make note of that. Other than that, I'm okay.
Okay, anything? Lorenzo?
We did discuss it at the last meeting, but I guess it's been a long day for us here as well all day, so we should focus more on a synopsis rather than a script. But for tonight, I'll make a motion to approve the Thursday, October 20th, 2022 Board of Supervisor meeting minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Otherwise, we went down this road some years back as far as meeting minutes. You write what was done, not what was said. That's basically in a nutshell. So that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Terry Maxwell. I would like to also bring your attention to page 4. In the comment by the chairman, where it says that the supervisors had 6 meetings with 5 interviews. Second interviews were scheduled for the week of September 5th for the top 4 candidates. In the October 6th meeting, when this situation was discussed, your comment back to Alan Maxwell said that we interviewed 4 of them. Of those that we interviewed, 2 were not a good fit and the others withdrew. Then when the chairman was speaking to Doug Mackley, he said, so let me correct the record, Doug. We had 5 candidates. Of those 5 candidates, 3 of the candidates were not a good fit. And then you, at that point, said that there were no second interviews scheduled. So either second interviews were scheduled for the week of September 5th for 4 candidates, which if 3 were not a good fit and 2 withdrew, who did we schedule? Who were the 4? And you stated that second interviews were not scheduled.
I misspoke. There were second interviews were scheduled for 2 of the candidates.
Okay, then the minutes need to be corrected that second interviews were scheduled for the week of September 5th for the top 2 candidates.
So the minutes are accurate, that the chair misspoke.
Yes.
So these minutes will reflect that the chair, responding to your comments, corrected himself.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, the next one is the October 25th Board of Supervisor Workshop meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve Thursday, October 25th, 2022 Board of Supervisor Workshop meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any comments or questions on that one? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. So the final one is October 31, the Board of Supervisors Workshop meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve Thursday, October 31st, 2022 Board of Supervisor Workshop meeting minutes.
And I will second it. Any comments or questions on that? Seeing none, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, tonight we have our police department with some follow-up discussions related to the potential canine unit.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Everybody on Overlongo with me tonight is Detective Ben Alsall. We've been working on this proposal, this canine, to add a canine unit to East Cocalico Police. Detective Ben Alsall was actually a canine officer down in the Carolinas, so he's wealth of knowledge. That's why he's here tonight to hopefully answer any more questions. Hopefully this will go quick. Just some questions that the supervisors had, they wanted a little bit of clarification on. So basically they asked for, after the initial startup fees, what are the costs associated with keeping the program running after that startup? So obviously, if you would obtain a dog, start a canine unit, the dog has to eat. So the food, it's about $800 a year. Then, if anybody that's owned animals, things happen, they get sick, tooth issues, stuff like that. So unforeseen vet bills is a concern. This would be a donation-driven program, and I would want basically a set amount of money set aside, maybe $10,000 for unforeseen, vet bills. Things do happen, and veterinary stuff is very expensive. So I would say, out of that donations, we would need to have a set amount for those unforeseen costs. Then you have monthly training to maintain the dog's skills. That also costs money. That's $1,200 a year. It would be through Lancaster City's K9 unit. We would train with them. And then there is a membership for certification. It's $45 a year that you have to certify that your dog and the handler are trained correctly. The K9 unit would get its own SUV specifically outfitted for the K9. So all the associated costs with that, gas, maintenance, cleaning the vehicle, insurance, all of those fees, and it would be in line with any other police vehicle that would have to essentially be the same cost. One thing also to keep in mind, because it is a specially outfitted vehicle to transport the dog, and the dog would live with the handler, that vehicle would go home with that handler. So you'd have a little bit more gas because the vehicle is not staying at station. Over time, due to call-outs And I was going over this with my wife before I came here to do it, and she brought up a good point. A lot of people don't know what a call out is. So basically a call out is when the handler and the canine are off duty at home and say something big in the township would happen. They could call, and if the circumstances are correct and they need the canine could be deployed. That would incur overtime. Also, the training. It's a 5-week training academy to train the dog initially. It would be a one-time fee, but that would incur a little bit of overtime. And what I would propose is that any overtime that would be incurred from that would be reimbursed through the donations that we had received, to obtain the canine in the first place. I feel, we want this to be an asset for the community and not a burden to the community. So as much, we want to pay for as much as we can from that donation fund. Another thing that I didn't put on the list, I added just the insurance for the dog itself, adding that, to the township's policy would also be a fee. So as far as the overtime is concerned, it's impossible to put an accurate number on the amount of overtime generated from call-outs because those types of events are few and far between. You can't tell how many you're going to get. I have spoken with another canine officer. He would be in a similar position as us, smaller department. I asked him, could you put a monthly figure on how many times you get called out off duty? And he said, I can't even do that. It would need to be like quarterly because it's so few and far between. So it's a relatively low number, of call-outs. He said 1 or 2 times every few months. So it's definitely not an everyday occurrence. Also, we would have department policies in place that would dictate the circumstances in which the canine unit could be deployed when off duty. So it wouldn't just be called out for every drug sniff or every, it would have to be a specific set of circumstances to deem it necessary to avoid that overtime. Another thing that was brought up was kind of a timeline as to how long it would take to get this whole process started. And the way we would begin is we had talked about starting a 501c3 nonprofit organization. I believe Judy chimed in a little bit about, somebody chimed in from up there, just about starting it. It does take a little bit of time, several weeks, a lot of paperwork involved, but it can be done. Once we get that, that would allow business owners to make donations to that fund, use it as a tax write-off. So once we get the 501c3 started, we can then start taking donations. Once the funding is in place, the next step would be obtaining a vehicle. That's the biggest expense in this program is the vehicle. We looked into it a little bit further, and I think the number was $58,000 for an outfitted SUV. I'm not sure if that included the decals and stuff like that, so that we're right around $60,000 just for the SUV alone. So once we obtain that vehicle, then we would go to the academy, secure a spot. They would supply us with the dog. It's $15,000 for the dog, and the training for the handler, like I said, is a 5 to 6 week process. Once the academy is finished, the dog will be ready for the street. Could be put into service at that point. The Spring Academy for Iron Roads K9, which is in Boiling Springs, PA, starts May 18th and ends June 19th. The Fall Academy starts on October 5th, 2023, and ends November 6th. And this program, we wanted to, it's not just the initial cost that we have to cover. Obviously, we would have to do continual fundraising to ensure that the program is, fully funded. Something should happen to the dog. We want to have enough money to continue the program and get another dog. We just want to make sure the funding is always there. So there would be continual fundraising handled by the canine handler. Another thing that was brought up was the scheduling aspect of it. The canine handler would work a hybrid schedule to provide even distribution between the platoons. It would incorporate a monthly maintenance, it would incorporate the monthly maintenance training and at-home care compensation without impacting patrol scheduling or incurring overtime. With the addition of a 17th officer, the 4 shifts would maintain full staffing and allow the K-9 handler to fill open shifts on patrol that would otherwise lead to paid overtime. I have included an example of that schedule on the back of this form. It's a 10-hour shift. Every other Monday is the maintenance training for the dog to maintain its skills. Just one example, you know, we could go with pretty much anything as long as it would mitigate that overtime. Go from there.
Just from my understanding that the spring academies and the fall academies, so that's one time, or that's where you, because I remember last time you had said there's follow-up training for the dog.
So I spoke with Mike Rosenberry, he's the owner.
Just so I understand it a little bit better.
He's the owner of Iron Rose K9. How it would work is his company, Iron Rose, offers 2 academies a year. So the spring academy and the fall academy, either one that our handler would go to, that's a one-time thing. It's a 6-week in-house training with Iron Rose, where the handler is paired with the dog. He learns the dog and how to handle the dog. The dog would arrive approximately 20 days prior to the academy start date. And those 20 days, the dog would have his initial imprinting on heroin, methamphetamine, and cocaine. They do not train for marijuana anymore due to the medical marijuana and all that. During that time, the dog would have approximately 100 to 150 fines. Prior to the handler going to the academy, the dog would be sent home a week and a half prior with the handler, so that the handler and the dog can get to know each other, and then they go to that 6-week academy. So that's a one-time cost of $15,000.
And the maintenance training that you had asked about, that is twice a month. They go for 1 day and, you know, work on their skills just so the dog doesn't regress.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, that is, I wasn't sure if the spring academy had to be done every year or every other year. Okay.
No, it's just the initial training of the dog and the handler to pair them together. The in-house training is what keeps the dog up and running.
Okay, thank you.
Would the dog be just drug trained at this point, or?
So no, this whole 6 week, what we're going to purchase is a dual purpose canine, drug and apprehension, so tracking, drug searches, fight work, building searches, that kind of thing.
So that kind of training, I guess, would happen during the maintenance or part of the 6-week training?
It's both. So during the canine training, the bi-monthly training, the Lancaster guys, they do tracking training, they do drug work, they do building searches, whatever they can do to keep their dogs up and running.
Did I hear from you just say that there's a correlation between a 17th officer being hired so that the K9 officer is able to float through the schedule, or?
It could, potentially. I know that we have a 17th officer potentially in the budget or in the works. If we were to go that route, then yes, the K9 could float, fill in overtime wherever needed, and, you know, prevent that overtime essentially.
Yeah, well, that might be in the budget, but the board has not voted on that or approved of that. You know, the financial implications of an officer over their lifespan, you know, is well over $150,000 a year, figuring retirement benefits and such. So, you know, I'm reluctant to go that personally. I'm reluctant to go down that road until, you know, I see some validations of me, and you know that hasn't happened yet. You know, getting back to the canine, you really can't put a figure on how much overtime is going to be put together with this or what it's going to cost, time-wise or financial-wise, have you, or?
I would say it's no different than a detective, than my position. I can't really tell you, I'm going to get X amount of overtime hours this month, or it basically need based. I mean, we can't really we're going to spend X amount, we can't go over this amount this month, so it's difficult to say that our handler is going to be burning through this much overtime every year.
That's what makes it challenging from our standpoint. It's all good saying, we want this to be revenue neutral, and that would be the goal. And what happens, and that question came up previously too. If you start out revenue neutral in a year or two, and then all of a sudden the funding starts waning, and the taxpayers are starting to put in more and more to keep this in place. How do we approach that?
It's almost going to be impossible. I mean, I can't sit here and say that it's going to be 100% revenue neutral. I mean, I'll guarantee that it's not. With canines, there come long-term medical care. If down the road the dog starts developing hip problems. So it's one of those things where you do have to weigh out the cost and benefit to it. I think as a whole, canines do offer a lot to the department. It puts, unfortunately, as handlers, we know we're going to put our dog into a dangerous situation where if we throw an officer in there, is this officer going to come out, versus if we can throw a dog in there, we've got a fighting chance of all of our officers coming home. You're weighing pros and cons both ways. So I understand where you guys are coming from, because I know dogs aren't cheap. I've handled a dog for 5 years, and I know that sometimes we got to go to the vet, and here comes a surprise bill. Hopefully that we can keep these donations coming through canine demos. We can go out there and do fundraising events where we can put on a canine demo with that dog, show the community what our dogs can do. And that way it kind of keeps that excitement alive with the dog. And it's not just a one-time thing. Yeah, it's great, let's get a dog, and then we forget about it. We can put on school events. We do Denver Fair, we can do the Reamstown Days, we can do multiple events during the year that help keep that revenue donations coming.
Merchandise sales, t-shirts, hats, stuff like that too.
Yeah, the public needs to know that each 100,000 or so of tax revenue that's raised comes down to somewhere over 5% property tax increase for every 100,000 that's spent. So, I just want to make sure the community is aware of what the dollars and cents of this could be.
The call out you mentioned, this is just out of curiosity. In your department previously, did you guys set like a radius, like anyone can call you guys if needed in a 10-mile radius per se, or?
So typically with call outs, the way our department, we were very lucky that Charleston County had dogs, Mount Pleasant had dogs, City had dogs. So multiple agencies in our county had dogs of their own. So with our guys, we were pretty much only coming out for either us or on a rare occasion Charleston County had something in our jurisdiction that we would get called out to assist. Otherwise, they handle the other departments would handle their own stuff. With our township, Lidditz Borough is the only one in the Northeast that has a canine. We could develop in our policy, who do we go to? That's, Berks County, and, I don't know, I believe Reading has their own Berks County canine. They have their dogs, so I don't know what their policy is. So we can keep it in Lancaster County, and we can say we can only go to the Northeast, and we work something out with the surrounding agencies as far as when we would call out our dog for their stuff.
So that would have to be a policy then?
That would definitely have to be.
That's why I was asking,
Essentially.
because I know township has one or two
Yeah,
dogs, I think.
they've got 3
Lidditz
dogs.
does, yeah, okay.
And Lancaster City's got
Yeah, they got
4.
plenty, yeah.
So that can be determined, do we only come to our stuff, or will we go help out for or will we go help regional if they need it? That's a department policy, and that would have to be between chief on who reimburses the township for his call out if he does go somewhere else.
Do they do that normally or no?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know how the call outs
And
work.
again, I'm just asking questions as they come to mind. No,
But
Essentially, it boils down to it would be our dog, we would set the rules, set it up whatever works best. And, we use different officers from around the Northeast, they all have different skill sets, and we have called on them on numerous occasions to help our department. So, this would also be something to kind of say, hey, we have this, we can help you guys out. Everybody helps each other.
at the end of the day, yeah.
How many times have you been called out a dog this year?
Our agency, have we used a dog? I believe Adams Antiques was the only time that we called out we had Lancaster County Sheriff's called out. We had Adams Antiques, and I couldn't tell you if we've done any dope sniffs on the street, but I know we had a bite apprehension at the conclusion of a track that we were searching for an individual who was wanted on multiple probation violations and endangering the welfare of a child after he rolled his car with his child in the car and then took off from us. So we had a bite apprehension on that, and then we had a building search when Adams Antiques was working
Two times.
Yeah, that I know of. I like I said, I don't know if night shift is called a dog for a dope sniff, but
And essentially it comes down to, they're not available, there aren't any dogs most of the time, so, we would be the other dog in the Northeast besides Lidditz.
Okay, there were some questions from the public. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple questions, Terry Maxwell. What is the years that the dog would be working?
So typically they work till about 9 years old. So we get them around a year and a half to 2 years old. Most dogs come in about 2 years. So you're looking at about 7 years of service per dog. That's barring clearly if there's any health issues that we have to address as they come, but usually you're looking at about 7 years, 7 to 8 years per dog.
So once the dog retires, then it goes and lives the rest of its life out with its handler. And then that handler would get a new dog.
That's up to the handler.
Okay.
So if our first handler decides at the end of the 7-year commitment, all right, I'm done being a handler, I've got my dog, don't have the room for 2 working dogs, because at home, those working dogs are still working dogs, and they
Yes.
are a lot of work. So
Yes.
having 2 mouths in a house will drive some people crazy.
Our best friend was a canine officer for Spring Township,
So
so we know. To make the point, once that dog retires, the township still is paying for its food and its vet bill until the end of that dog's life, correct?
that is to be determined. So we haven't, that is one thing that we at North Charleston, we put into the township or to the town council, and they approved caring for that dog, or at least assisting with vet bills after the retirement. So it's something that would have to be negotiated with the township. Clearly, obviously, that's something that township needs to know and that we need to work out as far as
Okay.
long-term care for that dog.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Alan Maxwell, I have 2 questions. You had stated earlier, you spoke a little bit with Judy about the 503C for nonprofit status.
Yep.
Since it is part of the township and profits come in and out of the township based on our bills and things like that we look at, when do you expect that 503C to be fully funded to allow the start of this program?
It would be all donation based, so we can't really give you a hard and fast answer. If the funding is there quickly, we can
When is
start.
your anticipated start date? When would you like it to start besides yesterday?
We would, ideally, we'd like to have it started up before the May Academy. Currently, right now, he has 1 opening for that academy. He has 2 openings in the fall. So we would preferably like to get it set up as soon as possible. That way, we can start collecting these donations after it's approved by if the council
Okay.
approves it. We want to get it started as soon as possible so we can try and get that funding for that May date.
Okay. As a follow-up, anyone that's lived in this township for a while knows that we are inundated day to day with donation requests from all kinds of organizations, whether it's school programs, cancer research, it goes on and on and on. We're not a rich township. So my question is, what is the expectation for the township to have to pay into this program, or is it you expect it to be 100% donation funded?
That's the idea, yes.
We're hoping that.
So when the funds dry up, where does the money come from? If the donations drop off after a year or 2 years, is the township going to be expected then to foot the balance?
That's what we're hoping
people
for
in
with these events and merchandise sales. We can keep funding coming, that we're engaging with the community. So it's not just, okay, we donated once, so we don't need to see it. We can plan these events that we can get out there and interact with the community. The community can interact with our dog. So it's not just, hey, thanks for your donation. We'll see you in 8 years when we need another
That's
dog.
the way the rest of the organizations operate as well.
Exactly, and we want this dog. It's not just an enforcement aspect, but we can use it as a community event. We can bring the community, we can get our dogs out there and interact with the township. We can bring it down Main Street, have the people see it, so that they're actually seeing where their donations going. And hopefully keeping that.
Just one final question. What prompted this to start? You said you used a call out for other townships twice, maybe in the past year or so. That seems a very low average to call out from another township to go through the expense involved in starting one within our own township and then maintaining it.
So, like I said, availability is a big issue with canines because in the northeast sector, there is 1 canine and he's not always working. We have 2, then, obviously if we had our own canine, we would use it frequently. But, you run into these certain situations where, do you really want to call somebody out for this, that, or the other thing if they're coming from all the way to the southern part of the town, So essentially, I think that number is low because availability is low.
So Northeast is the only one that we could use as a call out. You had mentioned Manheim Township and Lancaster all had dogs. We can't use them.
We can, but that's if they're available. So the 2 times that we used the dog was merely for the fact that they were available, and it greatly helped us. But not just on suspect run. We have, unfortunately, there is an increasing amount of drug activity in pretty much the entire country. Let's be honest. And so this is another tool that would help us crack down on a lot of these overdoses and that kind of thing. So it's not just tracking down a suspect. It's, can we utilize it to help get some of these drugs off the streets? So that's another tool that this canine will provide to our department, where we're able to, maybe we can take more of a proactive instead of a reactive instead of going to the overdose, we're getting some of these, drugs off before they get into the students.
Not necessarily opposed to it, I'm just trying to grasp it, because you're asking a big.
We are asking for a
from the
lot of
township,
money. Believe me,
and
I
an
know.
ongoing commitment. As she said, our good friend was an officer in Spring Township for, I think, 10 years. And we know the commitment that he took and that township put into it, and that was funded by Spring Township, that was not donation funded. So the residents of East Cocalico are being asked to step up in a big way and have to make choices of, do I support Greentown Fire Company, or do I support East Cocalico Police, or do I support Senate or the police? There's a lot of big decisions in an economy that's very unknown. So I'm just trying to understand and grasp the need for it compared to the expense and the outlay that we're going to be asked to put out.
And essentially, we would be trying to follow in the footsteps of Lidditz. They started their own K-9 program. They raised $90,000 in 6 months. So we are trying to follow in their footsteps and do things.
Median income is also a lot higher than ours.
We have a lot of big.
So they have a discretionary fund to spend where East Cocalico residents don't necessarily have that. Thank you, I appreciate all your answers, thank you.
Matt, did you have a comment?
Just, Mr. Maxwell was asking about the 501c3 and how quickly it could be brought up to speed, et cetera. In your explorations with other departments, is it typical to have a separate 501c3 to raise the money?
It was, I spoke to Sergeant Vaughn over at Lidditz, and he was the one who brought it up, and he said the benefit to it is for big businesses, they can use it as a tax write-off for their donations, gives them a little bit of incentive to be back to the community.
So there may be a reason to do a 501c3, but it takes time, it's expensive to operate your annual reporting obligations, et cetera. The township has the same status under the IRS code as a 501c3 charity, which is what allows that separate Lidditz 501c3 to transfer money to the borough. So contributions to East Cocalico Township are tax deductible. And because they have the status, the township has the status of the 501c3, they're bound by the same rules, which is that if the money is designated, it has to be used for that purpose. So something for you all to consider in how you plan to go ahead. A very typical situation is a lot of municipalities own the fire apparatus. They purchase it, and then the volunteer companies use it, and businesses contribute to those municipalities for the purchase of fire apparatus. Just a model to consider in your discussions.
Thank you.
Did I hear you right, Matt, that I can deduct my personal property tax?
No, because you're compelled to that. But if you wanted to round it up, to the next $1,000,
I'll listen to my account.
that would be a charitable deduction.
Yes, sir.
One quick question, Brian, Chris, you stated the Interceptor Cruiser, would you say 58,000?
Yeah.
Is that all ready with the fans?
Yes, upfitted.
Okay, all right, so that's.
Ready to go. I'm not sure, the only thing I'm not sure is included in that is the decal kit, which.
It's a couple $100.
It's not a lot.
So
There's
that's
only a couple $100.
That's the remotes, the cage, the thing.
Yeah, we have all the modern equipment to keep the dog safe, full kennel in the back, door poppers.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, there might be some DCED money for that. They like to pay for decal kits and things like that, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Cheryl Forsythe. There's a lot of dog lovers in this county, and I really think that we should donate for a dog rather than any politician. So I think that's like a no-brainer. Even in our neighborhood, we could even go door to door to like all the dog owners that would probably readily donate. As an ICU nurse, we've certainly seen a lot of overdoses, and the fentanyl crisis, from what I've read, is worse now than ever before. So how do you use a dog preemptively instead of waiting for responding to an overdose? How do you preemptively use that dog to get these?
So the Supreme Court ruled that free air sniffs of the exterior of a vehicle are constitutional. So if a person if our officers have belief that this person might be trafficking narcotics, the dog can run an exterior sniff of that vehicle. And with that dog alerting to the exterior of that vehicle, it gives us probable cause to then search the vehicle. So it's one of those things where it gives us more investigative tools that we can go and get to, that we can search a vehicle and looking for these drugs.
In today's world, I think this is a huge asset. The drugs that are cheap and readily available, unfortunately.
We too, we wouldn't be putting all this time and wasting, everybody's time if we didn't truly feel that this would be an asset to the community. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
One last question. You said that Lidditz raised $90,000 in 6 months. How long did they have their dog?
I think Nika, they had I think 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah,
So
can't remember.
have you talked to them and have they given you a breakdown of how much they've been able to raise after that initial 90,000? Like, how much donations do they get per year to cover these costs?
I don't have those figures. I can absolutely obtain those figures.
That would be kind of a good idea to see what their ongoing fundraising
Yeah,
has
absolutely.
done.
And we have a lot of big businesses and within our jurisdiction that I feel would have interest in this. But in speaking with Officer Burke, with his PD's canine handler, he said surprisingly that most of that money came from private citizen donations. And he gave me, I've spoken with him several times, he has given me no inkling that their program is in any kind of jeopardy whatsoever. So I feel, they're doing fine, I just don't have those figures. I can absolutely obtain them.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you, officers, for coming in.
And thank you for giving us the time, we appreciate your consideration.
Yeah, and we appreciate bringing the follow-up information and data. That's very helpful.
And if you come up with any other questions, anything, announce it. Yep.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your questions, thank you.
Okay, land planning and engineering. So, Village of East Cocalico, we have here on the agenda a time extension offer. Looking through the notes here from the engineers are dated November 3rd. The report indicates that Becker has not received the time extension request at the time of this report. So we do not have a written time extension on that one per the document that we have in front of us at this time. So moving on to Wabash Landing, Phase 2 subdivision plan. That's the waiver modification for Wabash. And Wabash Phase 2 subdivision plan in conjunction with the ongoing construction efforts, the applicant's contractor has submitted a waiver modification request pertaining to the requirements of section 194-25.k.11.a of the East Cocalico Township subdivision land development. The applicant is requesting approval to extend the deadline for placing the asphalt paving from October 31, 2022 for an additional 45 days, December 15th of 2022. The request has been coordinated with the Township Director of Community Development. As a result of the above, we recommend that the Board of Supervisors consider the following motion. We as in Becker Engineering. The motion would be to accept, authorize approval of the waiver modification of section 194-25.k.11.a of the East Cocalico Township subdivision and land development ordinance to the extent the asphalt paving deadline from October 31, 2022 to December 15th of 2022, conditioned upon the contractor strictly adhering to all applicable weather, temperature restrictions, providing PennDOT certified mix formula reports, and installing PennDOT certified material.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Any comments or questions on that one? Okay, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, so I'm going to back up one item on the agenda for the Village of East Cocalico. We did receive just recently correspondence for the Village of East Cocalico. That is to request a 90-day time extension. That came in from Todd Vaughan, Senior Project Manager at David Miller and Associates. So, anybody want to make a motion on that one then?
I'll make a motion to accept the written time extension offer as submitted by the applicant's consultant dated 10/31/2022, which will extend the deadline for action on the Village at East Cocalico, at the Village at East Cocalico's final subdivision and land development plan until
So let's make it 90 days from the expiration of the current period.
Okay. And do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second on that one for the Village of East Cocalico. Any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Casey can then advise what that is.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Thanks, Matt. Yes, that just came in. Yeah.
I saw it.
Ink's still wet. Okay. So East Cocalico Authority, the rental agreement. Gentlemen.
Yes, we asked for a $50 a month increase in the rent for the authority floor space next door. They met and agreed on that. And so we have a motion tonight to approve the rent with a $50 increase. You want to make that the?
I'll make a motion to execute the East Cocalico Township Water and Sewer Authority rental agreement for the year 2023, reflecting a $50 a month increase.
And just for informational purposes, the monthly rent will go up to $1,025 a year for a yearly total of $12,300. And I will second his motion.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Any comments or questions on that one? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Nay. Opposed? One opposed? Motion carries.
Take the final one.
Yeah, you want to do that one?
Yep.
Okay.
So the next item on the agenda would be the Farlow Communication System Maintenance Agreement, also known as SMA. Coverage dates would be through December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2023. I met with the owner, Jared, here November 1st, a couple of days ago at 8 a.m. And I'll give you guys a briefing on our current contract situation agreement with them. Our current service agreement ends November 30th, 2022. Jared from Farlow Communications explained about adding an additional hours to our agreement to benefit from getting the discounted rate at $70 per hour instead of the $85 an hour. Currently, our SMA, which is our service agreement, we only have 15 hours prepaid with our current agreement. The reason he is asking to add an additional 20 hours to it is because looking at our Windstream bill of our telephone provider, we currently have a T1 circuit. So a T1 circuit that we have has 23 channels, which is currently shared throughout the whole building. The Water Authority, Police Department, and ourselves. For those that you don't know, the 23 channels means 23 people can be on the phone at the same time. That doesn't happen. They looked at our bills, they've seen that we are paying for things that we aren't using. By looking at the bill as well, as some of the residents may recall, at the beginning of the year, the township updated and installed fiber into the building instead of the copper. On our Windstream bill currently, they said that there is a copper connection coming into the building that is not being used, that we are paying for. It's probably about $50 a month. What he would like to do is hook us up to something called a SIP trunk, which is a one-time fee. A SIP line is a internet-based voice, goes through the IP address, okay? And you get voice that way through the internet instead of the T1 circuit that we currently have. Each SIP line costs about $100 to $110 one-time fee. So if we use 10 lines, if we need 10 lines, we pay a one-time fee of $1,000 for that. And then we will have a monthly recurring bill to Windstream for the internet, and then one to whoever's hosting our SIP lines. He estimated us to be saving anywhere from $200 to $400 a month. He wouldn't give me more specific numbers up until he says he can look into it further, because he needs to see, he's waiting on some answers from me to see where our servers and modems are located in the building. And also, he had asked me if the water authority and the police department are using the same server as the township, which I'm not sure about that. I wanted to ask Custom Computer about that. In order to get the SIP lines, we would have to obviously upgrade to fiber, which we did, so that'd be a savings. And I wanted to point out, sorry, I'm reading my notes here. If the internet's down, SIP lines aren't going to work, obviously. So we would have to come up with a game plan as a backup. You know, if we get a manager in or HR's phone, if the SIP lines are down, we can make it that it goes directly to their phone. So if any resident calls during normal business hours, it'll be directed to them. So that way the phones will be answered in one way, shape, or form. To do the estimated work with them, they said they would, if approved, this is only for information, if approved, they'll be approved at the next meeting. They are thinking it would take approximately 20 hours, and they will need to work side by side with Custom Computer because they need to open a few ports for the lines to work through the internet. In the same agreement, we had in front of us a motion that to keep our service maintenance agreement in order, we have to replace the batteries to all our phones. It's been done in the past years, and he said it'll approximately take him 2 hours to do that. So last year when you guys decided to do it, it was 15 hours minus the 2. It left us with 13 hours. I think recently, Jeff, we had paid a couple extra hours of Farlow because they had to do the change in our telephone when we changed to Technicon. And we obviously had run out of service hours. But again, if we were to decide to go with SIP lines, there'd be the option of getting the discounted rate of the $70 versus $85. The approximate cost for the 9 batteries would be totaling $540. He had said that cost did not change from last year. But in order to continue this agreement, we would have to replace the batteries to the phone, which has been done yearly. I had asked him to send me a formal proposal. Apparently, they don't do that. They just put it in writing that we're going to replace your 9 batteries and for this amount of cost, it'll take this amount of time. And he said that's how they've been doing it in the past. I don't know if that's true or not. I told him I was new and I was just taking his word for it, but I would bring it to the supervisors meeting to see if you guys remember any of that from the past. But that's about it. That's just information I have to bring you guys. I guess we can act on it we can act on the agreement, or if we want to do the upgrade at the next meeting. Unless you guys have any questions for me, I can ask him prior to the next meeting.
So these batteries gotta be installed no matter what happens, moving forward?
According to him, it's been done in the past every year since East Cocalico has been a customer of Farlow Communications. Do you recall that?
I have to research it.
Last year, he said that he sat down with Mike around this time, but he had so many things he was doing that it kind of fell out and got left behind. So we could possibly do some research, maybe call him, ask some questions together if you want, and get some more clarification. We have till the end of the month.
I'll be ready to take whatever your recommendation will be. There's way too many consonants and vowels in what you put in there.
Took strict notes.
You do a good job of that. I know my limitations.
He's saying you own
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're not looking for any action today?
No.
Great.
Thank you.
it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. Municipal bid.
That's it.
This is yours again.
So we put the beautiful 2004 Chevy Impala that's sitting outside for the past, I don't know how long, for sale on municipal bid. It ended yesterday. We got a high bid of $1,801. Previously on Gov Deals, we only got $1,375, I think. So we decided to relist it with municipal bid, and it did come out that we got a little bit more for it. I have a motion on our motion list here to approve the bid, if you guys are okay with it. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Well, I guess on the bid sheet, it's interesting that at the same timestamp, this winning bidder came in at a $1 higher than the previous bid of $1,800 to win the bid.
If you take notice, it says a proxy. A proxy bid online auctions work that way. He probably set himself at
Put
$2,000,
a max bid on.
but the person before him didn't bid anymore, so it didn't outbid him, so we got it at the
So
1801
that's why the same timestamp.
Correct.
You know, automatically adds.
automatically.
Yep.
Okay.
Bid. So,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the high bid of the 2004 Chevy Impala for $1,801
So,
for sale.
and I will second that. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that one? Okay, seeing none. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
see you later in town.
We also listed on there our 2006 Chevy Silverado from the road crew. We got a high bid. There was multiple people bidding up on that one. We got a high bid of $13,000. So there again, would anyone like to add anything to that?
I'm just, Brian, you asked me last time, work trucks.
Oh, yeah. Can't handle it.
Okay.
There's a lot of bids.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve for sale the 2006 Chevy Silverado with the high bid of $13,000.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any questions, comments on that one? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, department reports. Finance, Judy.
Is it out?
All right, so today I received the list of reports that will be due at the beginning of 2023 from the Department of Community and Economic Development. I do file most of these reports, but the one on here that typically the manager files is the reporting for liquid fuels. Also, very soon we have to file the MS 999, which is the completion reports for the projects for 2022, which all three of them are now completed. So I, yet again, am willing to take on that responsibility if the board wishes. I do have an appointment, a Teams meeting with Mike Nouse from Route 2 tomorrow morning. He has offered to show me how to fill out that report for the first time. And then going forward, I will continue to fill it out. And this is so we can continue to get our liquid fuels funding every year and be prepared for our audit in 2025. I think the next one would be 2024. It's every 2 years.
Yeah, if you don't mind stepping up there, that'd be great.
Yep, I'll take care of that.
You guys okay?
And then I'll also make sure the other reports are taken care of.
Thank you.
The next thing is we did our insurance renewal early and the bills are starting to come in. These are for 2023 premiums, but they have a due date on them of 2022. So if I pay these now, we will be over budget, and these are mostly for the bonds. I could call and ask Kilmer, or explain the situation and ask them if we could pay them in 2023. This is an issue because we're, of course, cash basis. So I was looking for guidance from the board. Shall I just go ahead and pay these, or shall I call and ask them if we can extend that payment due date?
What is a due date on there?
The due date is 11/15 of 2022.
Really?
And these policies don't take effect until 1/1 of 2023 and 1/3 of 2023.
That's why.
45 days ahead of time.
You got a long processing fee. Long processing.
And their bonds.
So it's gotta be this year.
Yeah, it has to be this year because they're for bonds.
Yeah, okay,
It's gotta be imposed. And we know we're over, we know why.
exactly. Okay, all right, I'll take care of those payments.
But on the cash basis, then in your accounting, you've got to put in, of course, the note in there. that-
I did call and ask the auditor if I could book them as a prepay, and she said that we could not do that since it was, since we're cash basis. I did get the quotes for McGowan for the insurance. As you know, we've been using Kilmer for years. I asked to check with another insurance agency. I did get the quotes back, and we still need to compare coverage exactly, which we are going, she's coming in on the, it's either Monday or Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday because she's coming to the morning meeting, Monday is the evening meeting, yes. But I did compare the rates this afternoon, and the savings with McGowan is only $874. She did not quote me any prices for the bonds, so that does not include the bonds. The savings on the liability was $7,000. So the cyber policy came in $6,864 higher. And then the savings on the workers' comp was $733.
Yeah.
So,
But with all of those, just to be clear, it's not an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
We don't know until we look
Correct.
at exactly what coverages, if the coverages are comparable.
correct, if the
And most likely,
deductibles and that type of thing are
Right, so
the same.
it's fine to have those quotes, but you can't make a comparison until you see the comparables on the coverage.
Right.
You didn't give her, what her coverages are, right?
No, I filled out applications with her and she went out and priced them out.
Normally they
And-
come in,
Yeah,
normally
but-
they come in aggressive to get in the door, but it's only $800 difference.
But as a municipality, it should be fairly consistent. The thing that will affect it the most is claim system from the
Yes.
underwriting.
And she did get the claims history from
She did get a copy.
Homer, yes. Yes, she did.
You said they got competition.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know. Totally unrelated, but being you're talking insurance, I didn't bring that up earlier, but, with a canine unit, does that affect our insurance rates or coverage?
Absolutely.
I'm sure we'll need an additional policy.
That would probably be a separate policy or a rider.
Yeah.
I would imagine a rider.
You could ask that on Wednesday.
And stick that in your memory.
Okay.
I'll try. You don't want to, yeah.
Okay, and the last item I have, is the payment for the, Farmers Relief Association. The letter that I sent out, I did receive the check back from the Farmers Relief Association, so they did comply with everything we requested in the letter. And I just need guidance on how to proceed.
Okay, so this is one we have to talk about. So for the Fireman Relief Fund, what was that check amount for?
The check amount, 81,000,
Remember?
$81,290.92.
Okay, so for $81,000, that's the relief money that we give to the fireman's relief, which then gets distributed to the fire companies. So we had to cancel that check and pull that check back because we received correspondence from the state fire commissioner as well as the Auditor General's office that there were some funds and some paperwork that had to be clarified for the relief. Apparently that has been done. We did receive from very nice extensive letter from Joe Zimmerman, the president of the Fire Relief of Denver, outlining exactly, Reamstown, sorry, thank you. For Reamstown, outlining in detail exactly what occurred there and what happened. Based on their last audit, they made the corrections. The question that I have is, and Jeff, you're the treasurer, I gotta ask, because I'm not sure here. So the state fire commissioner to the Auditor General, the letter we received is the state fire commissioner saying we're putting a hold on these funds, draw those funds back as a result of the audit. He's notifying the Auditor General's office. The Auditor General's office, we have not officially heard from, but we have heard from a gentleman, Mr. Hoover, he's an audit specialist with the Department of the Auditor General. So it was the state fire commissioner letter that was the directive to us as East Cocalico to withhold these funds. But we don't have correspondence from the state fire commissioner of agreement to put the funds out there. So I'm torn. I just don't know what to do here because of the directive was given by the state fire commissioner.
It seems as though things have to work through channels to me. Would that be a fair assumption on that? That it has to get back through to the other agency?
How quick they were responding, I I'm going through the emails now. There's a couple emails that went back and forth pretty quickly.
But
All we got is from Mike Hoover.
the fundamental question is the directive to us as a municipality, because we're the pass-through for these funds, and it's a sizable check, right?
Yeah.
Came from one office.
It didn't come
But-
from the other one.
It didn't come from the other one, yeah.
And we have time yet, don't we, Judy, in this, that's a 60-day time frame we
60
have.
day, I believe,
And it
November 20th will be 60 days since we received the funds. It's 60 days from receipt of the
It
funds.
came in the second half of
Who
September.
else are we waiting on again? Or should
Well,
we wait on?
well, let's simplify this. We have a representative from the Auditor General's office who has indicated it's okay to release the funds.
Didn't get back to the fund.
Okay.
Yes.
So, but our directive to hold the funds and not issue them came from the State Fire Commissioner's office. And therein lies where we have to make a decision. I
would say, the obvious solution here for the immediate time would be to drop an email to him and say, what is your current status of this?
well, we should probably use the proper channels, right?
Yeah.
So what?
As I read this email, the first sentence sounds like they already talked to them. I don't know if we're even going to get anything. If you guys want clarification, I think we should ask. Senior management at the Borough of Fire Audits and the Office of State Fire Commissioner discussed the issue of recent audit findings and a potential withhold of funds for unauthorized expenditures at the East Cocalico Township Volunteer Fire Association. It has been determined that East Cocalico may proceed with distributing its 2022 state aid to its Volunteer Fire Relief Association as the unauthorized expenditures are addressed. I have returned your 2022 electronic filing on Munsteds. This will activate the edit function and to update any necessary information such as the check number and date issued. I don't know who else we're going to hear from.
Right, but
It'd be nice to have it in writing from them as well.
right, but here's my concern. I hear you, agreed. But then you read further in that email, and there's the disclaimer.
Yeah, of course.
Be advised that the Office of the State Fire Commissioner has the authority and reserved the right to withhold future state aid for any unauthorized expenditure findings. So, exactly, that's how, so we're kind of interpreting the email that's coming back and forth between two state agencies. So what I think we should do is, we should ask Mr. Zimmerman, the president of the relief, if he could, because they're really the contact here. We've just been told they're the ones that have to get that resolved, right? We should ask Mr. Zimmerman to please ask, so many agencies in this room. Please ask the audit specialist to confirm, I would prefer in writing, that the State Fire Commissioner himself, that office, has granted the authority to release these funds. Because again, what I want to prevent is for us getting into some major challenges with the state of PA with all these other funds we receive from the state, and we're responsible for dispersing that.
Any thoughts, Matt?
I think that's the safer approach. You have the alternate approach, if you wanted to be a little bolder, would be an email back that says, on the basis of this email, we're going to issue the check on such and such a date unless we get otherwise.
It's pretty bold.
I would not, I also want to say, I would not worry about the 60 days. I think once you got the notice to hold, that suspends the 60 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, and that's a good point, Matt, is for general discussion for the public's knowledge, is we were involved in a budget meeting when you opened your email to check something and we received notice of this hold on the checks. We were very prudent, extremely timely in everything we tried to do to address the directive we were given, to the point of suspending the budget discussions, immediately addressing this, and that's why we had 2 meetings, the workshop meetings that we had. So I'm very confident we as a municipality executed on any timeliness that may be required.
And I followed along with all the emails. You're right, it was a quick response. I think if you ask for a clarification, you can probably expect a quick response and get this wrapped up.
Okay.
So Judy will email Joe Zimmerman, ask for him to get the clarification, that way we can give it back.
Sounds like a plan.
In writing,
In writing, we want it in writing.
so we can attach it to our filing system for our next audit of mayor's or anyone else. Okay?
Fair enough.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
And one last thing, Brett is not on the department reports, but he asked me to bring up something for him. So if we could just, include that at some point.
Sure.
If you want
You
me
wanna
to
do that
now,
now?
I can.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so, there's a part needed for the slide at the pool. Brett has spent months trying to first find the vendor and then, get them to cooperate with, working with the township to get this part. Right now, we stand at, we have an acknowledgement of sale, and we can get a 3% cash discount if we pay ahead of the part being ordered. So with that 3% cash discount, the total is $2,278.96. If we prefer to go to the other route and issue a purchase order and have it delivered and then invoice us, the cost would be $2,329. Brett feels that if this part is not put on the slide, then it will not be able to be used for the next pool season. He's repaired it as many times as he could to keep it open as much as he could, and at this point, it's either the part or the slide will be inoperable.
Just for clarification, Brett did send a picture to the board. There's 2 nice sized cracks on the plastic of the slide. So if I go down the slide and want to go into that pool, I don't want to get scratched and start bleeding and whatnot either. So it is a safety issue. So it does need addressed, or we don't have a slide.
Okay, so we can put that on the next agenda for a motion to vote on.
I think that's under his expenditures though.
Is it?
Is it? Doesn't he have the ability to do that?
$3,800.
I think he was looking for if we were okay with their prepayment.
That's what I was looking for, because we don't typically prepay.
Right. With ordering this, is there a down payment that can be sent to get the order in progress, or, I saw that's coming from the other side of the country.
Yes,
And-
it says a down payment of 33%, but then we wouldn't get the 3% discount.
Yeah. You know, we also then, when it shows up, have the ability to check it out, make sure there's no defects or problems before accepting it and paying the balance. You know, I've found over the years that once they have all your money, if a problem comes back up, you know, certain companies are less reluctant to address it. So, you know, I just, from my perspective, maybe it would be the best way to approach it, to put the down payment on it, let it arrive, and then approve it for the final payment. In case there's an issue with it from the transportation end of it or handling. That's what we'll do.
It's not, I agree with that.
You know,
Yeah.
it's coming all the way across the country.
Okay, so you want a purchase order issued, and then we will,
Better be safe than sorry.
Purchase order issued with a deposit.
But we can't vote on that tonight to move ahead with that.
Well, it's technically under his expenditures.
Is it at 32?
I thought it was less than that.
2329. I think it's 25. Yeah, it's under his,
What's his number at 2?
I think 25.
25. So he's under.
100, not 25,000.
Everybody's got a different one.
25 minus 23.
Got it. So then he's fine. All right.
Anything else?
now we're finished.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, just said 80.
And for Larry, I would point out that the game has started.
Okay.
It's 1-1.
Yeah.
It's 1-1.
Is it? Okay. Brett, sorry. Ken, MS4, and it's 1-1 right now, so.
Okay. I've been gearing up to get the leftover alcohol inspections done. Doing that probably starting sometime next week, depending on the weather. They have to be done. It was dry weather and 3 days where we haven't had rain, and then scheduling, and someone from the road crew is going to be assisting with that process. The other main project that I've been working on is the revision of the FS4 contract for 2023. I've made changes in that. One off before John Williamson at Mag, who's actually currently in Nepal. He looked at it, didn't see any problems with that, and we will be getting that drafted out to our attorney to review and proceed with that as soon as possible so we can get going for 2023. Those are the main activities at the moment.
I guess from my standpoint, there was a few conversations with the participants in the FS4 program this year, just as getting feedback on how they saw it and anything that they would like to see in the future. And you know, we did tweak the contract just a little bit based on feedback and from John Williamson in community development. Ken and I, we had a meeting and discussed the different aspects of it as well. So you know, the pilot program from this year, we're looking to move ahead next year to do it all over again with some minor tweaks to it. So it's a learning process.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ken? Okay. All right, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report.
List of bills.
List of bills, check payments for the general fund bank account. List of bills in the amount of $50,103.38 with a starting date of October 20th and an ending date of October 31st of 2022. Any questions on that list? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, and we have to approve the check payments for the hydrant fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $16,110 with a starting date of October 20th to an ending date of October 31st of 2022. Any questions on that? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, and then we have to approve an electronic payment list of bills in the amount of $99,760.94. This is payroll with a pay period of October 9th through October 22nd. And it also has third quarter 2022 payroll tax returns. That's why there's a little higher number than normal there this time. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, and then we have one more. We have a general fund bank account list of bills in the amount of $85,762 with checks dated on November 3rd of 2022. Is there any questions there? Seeing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's the treasurer's report for tonight.
Okay, environmental solutions, mold results. Okay, so you want to hit? Perfect. Yep.
Yes, I met with Skip Bell from Service Master Restore out of Reading. He came in the building. He had the environmental report that we had put together for us about the upstairs here in the building. The report came back with excessive mold in the manager's office. That had been sealed off all summer with no manager in the building. Nobody went in to look in the doors, open a window, or turn on a dehumidifier. End result, we had a mold problem in there. He did the whole upstairs in the building, not Skip, but the mold specialist that came in, and the levels were actually lower on most of the mold than the sample outside the building. Sample outside the building in the great outdoors air, I think the number came in over 5,700 mold spores out there, and everything in the building came back at 1,800 or less. And even the high number on that was maybe because an employee had the window open a little bit, letting some outdoor air in. I found it somewhat interesting that the outdoor air had more mold spores in it than what we have in the building. Anyway, we did get a quote to take all these units apart, because there's one basically in each room on the upstairs of the building, and have them thoroughly cleaned. Skip had done some research on these units, and he said that the faceplate can come out. He said the fan itself can come out. They can all be thoroughly cleaned. He had a plan for the manager's office to seal off the office, create a negative airflow, which means putting a little fan in the window there to make sure everything that's in there. And I guess it almost becomes a hazmat situation where the workers that go in would suit up to do a thorough cleaning. That would be have a cleaning of the carpet on the floor and everything else in the room. So we have a proposal in front of us now. Let me continue on that. He suggested, because these are air conditioning units, that this would be a good time to do that cleaning, because they're not in use. They won't be in use till next spring. He suggested that probably this should be a twice-a-year maintenance situation where sometime next summer, the same thing should be done again, just in order to keep it clean and trying to keep the dirt out. He said it's basically just dirt in there right now. So he suggested doing this on a weekend when there's no employees in the building. He said that his firm would be available. He could probably schedule this either the weekend before Thanksgiving or the weekend after, not including the Thanksgiving weekend. But he would need to be in the building probably 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, in order to get the whole process done. So, that's what I learned through this process, and I thought the offer itself was very reasonable for the amount of work that's getting done. He also did mention we have there's more than 20 boxes there to shred. He said that those should be bagged. The boxes stuck in a trash bag. He would either take them out of the building to do what they're going to do, and then set them back in the bags so that they would be ready for us to send to shredding at some point. He said, or you can take them elsewhere on your own, whether it be out to the maintenance shed. But he said, more than likely, there's not an environmental safety issue with them, but bagging it would be the way to make sure that everything's secure there. So that's some of the background on the report in front, or the quote in front of us.
And the quote amount is?
And the quote amount.
$3,850.60.
Yeah, and there's a breakdown on that. Might as well throw it all out there. Each one of the 10 units throughout the building, taking the faceplate off and taking the fan unit out, doing a thorough cleaning on all of that. He's got quoted at $225.74 a piece, for a total of $2,257. The remainder of the difference between $22.57 and $38.50 would be just for the manager's office and the more complicated work that has to be done there. So it's a total of $3,850.60. So yeah, those are the details.
Okay. So some thoughts, one of the things that I have a question about on this, Jeff, and for Lorenzo, is chain of custody on the documents that are in the manager's office. Because there's some private documents, confidential documents back there. We've got to think about.
He said nothing would come out.
Right, we've got to think about how do they handle that in terms of when they're cleaning those documents?
He told me a lot of what gets done there, everything stays in place. It gets to be, he's got a misty kind of spray that he puts on, and then it becomes a vacuuming process from that, that cleans off the mold particles and the dust.
Right, so the question I have is, when they're here on the weekend,
who's going to be babysitting the situation?
Who's going to be here protecting the integrity of the chain of custody on the documents?
Did I just hear you offer?
Huh?
Did I just hear you offer?
I'm not qualified to do that.
I'll make that motion.
I'm not qualified. No, the only.
It's a serious question.
It's a serious question, and the reason I asked that is only because Maybe we should ask the chief that question in terms of how do they handle that stuff. He might have an
He'll
idea.
have to be back in financial office, HR office.
He'll have to be, exactly,
Each one of
every
these
single,
rooms has one.
yeah. And, you know, Judy's,
There's stuff locked up.
yeah, Judy's beyond prudent in locking the office, so Sharon, so's Shirley,
Yeah.
when they exit their doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking,
But your files are lockable too. Yeah.
so.
The boxes aren't though, that's the problem.
Yeah, these are not. So it's something that has to be done, agreed. That's the only question that I have. We have to figure out the logistics of that one.
Possibly put it on next agenda. We can try to get some answers in the meantime.
Well, we can.
I think we can approve the quote,
Right,
with the condition that, you know,
we want to get this done timely. Sorry, Jeff.
yeah, that we have a chain of command, situation in place before they come in the building.
So we can approve this now, get this done. In terms of the approval, it's just the logistics then.
Yeah,
Just checking with the chief of how to handle that, or what's the best way to do it.
Motion with that contingency.
what, the chairman come in and babysit?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to approve the Service Master Restore quote from Skip Bell,
Service must understand.
Service Master Restore. Looking for, and that is, that document is referenced as 22-0743-ECOC. So he's got East Cocalico Township. Dated 10/29 of 2022 in the amount of $3,850.60.
I'll second.
Contingent upon, we also check with the chief for best methods for chain of custody while they're doing this in the offices where there are HR files, etc.
I'll second that for a second time.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions on that one? Yes, sir.
These units are heating and.
I'm sorry, Nate.
Alan Fry, sorry. These units are heating and cooling.
Let me ask you a question. The best we can determine, they were put in 2015? Is that true?
They were put in different times though.
Okay, they weren't all done in 2015.
No, they weren't all done in 2015.
We found a quote from Vertex in 2015
That was the
for,
first batch.
okay,
Then Howard put a second batch in later.
so there's some that are newer than that.
Yeah. Also, I have a question, can they put a HEPA filter in the ceiling units?
That's part two. Part one first is to get the offices cleaned up, then we have to think about the next step in terms of how to mitigate that from happening again.
There's several suggestions out there.
The main part that we really need to look into is getting fresh air in our building. That's the main reason this is happening.
There's no air exchange,
No.
external to internal.
There's a lot of hot air.
Yeah, right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's none, motion carries. Okay. Formerly Sandy Road. Can I talk about that one?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in that, this extension as per se. This is for the field out here that, there possibly could be some construction next year. If it gets torn up, well, then there would have to be some changes, I guess, or it would be waived altogether. This is for farming practices. We requested that only hay be farmed out there for the benefit of the chief and the police department. So This gentleman's paying a lot of money to rent that field from us. We have a 2-year lease agreement in front of us, with an annual rate of $2,972.95, broken into 2 annual payments. How does the board feel about this comes in 2 installments? If all of a sudden we have to pull the rug out for the majority of the field for construction, we would have to go back and renegotiate the difference to whatever the balance on the lease would be. Kind of puts us in a
It puts us in what came first, the chicken or the egg situation. Because in this lease, Matt, there is no language in it for early termination. So that's one of the things we have to consider, is there has to be language in here for early termination if that project were to occur during the time of the lease.
Do you think that if the construction occurs, it takes the entire field?
probably not, and that would be where the negotiation would come in.
Well, that's where, better do it now than later. And approach it on a pro rata basis, both in terms of time and in terms of area to be farmed.
Yeah, that's a little bit what I was getting at, I guess.
Yeah. So the next step on this is really discussions with Mr. Rutt in terms of this lease would have to have an early termination clause in there, the reasons why, and then some sort of pro rata share.
And if it's a hayfield, Jeff, I mean, is it an element of giving the farmer notice to get a crop off, or cutting off, to kind of mitigate the loss?
Communication is always the key, no matter
Yeah.
what goes on. So you tell them that, in 2 weeks, there's going to be somebody out there putting stakes in or whatever, that would give him the opportunity to get in there and get something off.
And if they're gonna need to stake it out, it's in our interest to get a cutting off. Yeah.
So it says 2 installments are due, and then the contract starts in January. Well, in the past, it was January 23rd. When did you see these payments come in? They come in early in the year and late?
They do, and he typically, I've seen him pay the whole amount at one time, not in installments.
Like the first quarter of the year?
Yes.
See, maybe that would be a change that we could offer would be, change the dates to later in the
So
year.
the value of the lease to him is that he's going to get a full growing season and as many cuttings as he might expect off.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of like a residential lease where if you terminate it early, after 6 months, the person has gotten 6 months of an accommodation.
Right.
Here, the first 4 to 5 months are of no value to him at all.
It would have to be early June until he would have the opportunity to get some return.
Yeah.
So instead of making first quarter request on payment, maybe third quarter, by then we should have a lot more information of what he's going to get off, or that could help us a lot too.
If you want to have some conversation with him before we draft anything,
Yeah,
and
we could.
rather than imagine what he might be interested in.
Yeah. You want me to handle that, Judy, or?
You speak farmer, right?
Yeah, I think first the egg or the chicken.
Okay, so you'll take that action on.
I will do
Thank you. Okay, township building expansion status on ECTA redesign. I don't think we have any, that one, we've heard nothing there, so that's tabled.
I haven't.
Okay. Reamstown pool surveys mailed, emailed with return date of December 5th of 2022, so these were sent out. 223 surveys were sent via email. 5 were mailed via the United States Postal Service because we did not have an email address. So Lisa was able to calculate. We saved about $129. We saved $129.34 by actually using the email addresses, not mailing them all out via the Postal Service. So thank you to everyone who provided those email addresses.
Mr. Miller, did you get yours and fill it out yet?
Only pool members got it.
Okay, appreciation Christmas luncheon. Again, that one is just in process right now.
The date got confirmed.
Okay, so we did get confirmed from the Reamstown Fire Hall for 12/21 of 2022, and that's from 11:30 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. So thank you to Reamstown Fire Hall for Reamstown Fire for confirming that for us. Okay, one other quick note I'm going to add here. We're coming into daylight savings on, so for everyone over the weekend. The flashers over at the school, Lisa proactively on her own, thank you, Lisa, actually confirmed with CM High, and that the CM High confirmed the school flashers adjusting to daylight savings time will be done. It's done automatically, so we just confirmed that that's going to be done for the kids for Monday morning. Okay? Okay. Anyone else have anything that I missed? Jeff?
Yeah.
What I missed?
It's been a long day.
It's been a long 2 days.
It's been a
long week. Okay, public comment for non-agenda items. Again, please state your names clearly. It helps Lisa with the meeting minutes. Yes, sir.
Donnie Stover, couple things. I was asked by Scott and Chad to come and ask about the money, for fire companies from the ARPA funding. We want to do a presentation. We just got behind with that with other things we have going, but I know you guys are doing the budget, so we would like to request that you consider us when you're doing that. But we do want to do a slide presentation. Like I said, we don't have it ready yet. But we'd like them to do that. At the same time we do that, we're actually going to do a demonstration for our new air packs as well, since we all have that in service and we use them call and things.
Great.
So that's one thing. The second thing was Scott talked to me today. We did that. You guys paid for the grant and for the air packs, or for us to get the grant to get the air packs. I guess there's some procedures that we have to have done in writing for the federal government wants things the way they need to be done. And Scott said he talked to Sly, and Sly is willing to write out the procedures the way they need to be done because he's familiar with it. But it's a $600 fee for that, Scott. So we're wondering if that's something the township would like to help out with as well.
Got it. So he's writing the confirmation on that the grant requirements were executed on. Yes.
And Scott, or Sly knows how to do all that stuff, so that's one of the things that Scott asked me so you guys to consider as well.
Can you send some paperwork on that?
I can have Scott reach out to you. He knows more about it. He was behind some stuff at work, so he was able to make it.
Yeah, we want to have some paperwork on that.
Yeah, so, yes, have him send that paperwork, copy the board, and send it to Judy.
Okay.
Okay, just confirming what that amount is and exactly what it's for and everything else.
Is there a time frame on that?
I don't know, he just called me.
There might be, yeah, there might be, because that's the confirmation on the grants. There's gonna be a timestamp on that. Okay. My personal opinion, I'll tell you right now, is, yeah, I think that's something we should absolutely pick up, because that wraps up the complete portion of that grant. So, okay. Any other questions?
Let me just follow up for a minute, Donnie. There was some different conversations. At this point, we have a little bit less than $15,000 of ARPA money uncommitted. You know, and not that everything else is spent, it's not, but it's earmarked for other projects. You know, we as a board were kicking around different ideas of what could be used to get that money out to the fire companies. One of the ideas that was kicked around was reimbursement for fuel that was bought. You know, a nice ledger sheet came in from your company. Thank you for that. Looking that over, I saw that you're using the same fuel purchasing agreement system with the school district that we are. You know, what are your thoughts on something like that? Would you be able to produce fuel receipts and canceled checks to validate the purchases to us so we could reimburse them with ARPA, or
If that's the route we decide.
if that's the route we decide to go? Just asking a question, I'm not making a proposal.
I mean, yeah, we can produce that stuff. I honestly think that's one way to use the money, but the fire company themselves have uses for it. You know, we need to badly do our parking lot. We're looking at $75,000 to $100,000. So, I mean, that's something where we like to put the money, you know, towards for us to use.
One of the board's concerns has been, you know, an audit trail on the ARPA money. And, you know, it's when you have excessive costs on fuel, you know, I think that's been discussed already, that maybe that would be an option to reimburse. So it would be a nice paper trail to keep it auditable for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, basically be a reimbursement to you, but we would have the receipts and the canceled checks to prove what it was.
Yes.
Just to follow this, one of the strategies with allocating the ARPA funds is to allocate the ARPA funds for things that could be used as ARPA funding, and in a form where the recipient, the fire company, has already spent the money to do that. So the reimbursement, the ARPA funding goes to the fuel, but the money that you spent on the fuel is now available to you to pay your parking lot. Right, it frees up other money is the concept.
You know, that would be something that we could, if the board were to decide, we could get to this year.
So just to bound the discussion so everyone understands. And again, thank you for submitting the trial balances and the financials in that format. That's perfect for us. So in fuel costs, what I have here of your trial balances, it totals $2,673.11. Should give you an idea of how much volunteer fire companies are spending in fuel.
That's only the one.
And that, yes, that's only Smokestown, correct?
And we're the slowest one out of the three. So.
Yeah. Well, and let me preface that once more. That's only as of September 30th.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So
I got the bill the other day for up in October.
yeah. So you're We're at 2,600 just with 3 months to go, so.
So if we were to send out letters yet this month to each company asking for that validations that we could reimburse with ARPA funds, would you be able to get it to us by December 1st so we could act on it this year yet?
I think, yeah, they got out quickly.
If we decide to go down that
If we
road.
decide to go down that road.
Always put the disclaimer out
All
there.
right, yeah, we will be having more budget talks next week.
And that does not include the animals. The animals cannot get it at the school. So they're not in the school. They still do have to leave a to get there. They don't have to get it at the school or whatever. The school won't allow the animals to get it there. They do leave a brothers. Animals gas. And there's,
They have gas there too.
Yeah, they have both.
They have both. Our officers gas up with it.
it has something to do with, that's considered, because they charge for it, so it's not a non-profit, or whatever, technical, whatever.
They're a nonprofit, but they charge a fee.
Yeah.
The fire company and the police don't charge a fee to respond to your emergency. Yeah.
Okay. Right, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, announcements. So Monday, November 7th, sorry.
I was waiting until you finished.
Sorry.
Alan Maxwell. I wanted to take a moment to address comments that were made at the October 20th Board of Supervisors meeting. At the one point, toward the end of the meeting, Chairman Carrasco, I quote, you said, "I have one item just before we get to public comment. One item I want to bring up, and since Jeff, you brought it up at the beginning under the meeting minutes, I want to get a couple of things on the record that are clearly identified. That is in direct reference to Mr. Mitchell correcting the minutes in regards to my statements from a synopsis, or details of a synopsis. So you referenced me in that comment there. You went on to describe the timeline and then a series of details down through that way. You ended that comment section, and I quote, "So with that being said, I have a duty and a responsibility, and I have this to say. Comments at the last Board of Supervisors meeting made by members, a member of the public, were reckless, unprofessional comments made about the township manager's search that degrade, ignore the efforts of staff and professional organizations working diligently to recruit a township manager while negatively impacting the morale of all those individuals. You ended it by saying comments made will undoubtedly only serve to create deeper questions about the position and lengthen the process we are going through. Then you ended by saying that is my opinion. So this is a twofold thing. When you started with, I have a duty and a responsibility, that is indicating you are acting as a supervisor and representing the board. And then you ended by saying, in my opinion. It can't be both. But the other aspect of this is I was highly offended by those comments. But at no point did I address a specific board member in my comments about the search for township manager. My comments and opinion were directed to the board in general. Secondly, at no point in my comments did I make any comments that would degrade a township employee, denigrate their efforts, or make them feel in any way unappreciated. Many times throughout my comment sessions with the township, I have complimented the township staff and thanked them for their service. But you, sir, chose to come after me personally with your comments. On public record, noted in the effort of review. I am publicly requesting an apology from you or the board for the comments made against me that were untrue, that were also unprofessional, and were a direct effort to retaliate against my asking questions in regards to the township search. I did not insult any one of you sitting up there. I did not insult you personally. But you felt the need to publicly insult me. If the township is going to be offended by a resident standing up asking a question in regards to a township manager search that we are deeply invested in, that is a concern. The other aspect of that is practically every meeting we have had to ask as residents for an update on the manager search. I think in only 2 meetings since the search first started in March, was it part of the agenda and was it brought up by the board? So if we, the residents, have to ask questions, we should not expect to have a retaliatory statement issued against them by a member of the board or anyone from the township. I remain respectful to the three of you sitting up there because I appreciate the work that you do. I know the hard work that the township staff is putting in right now, covering for the absence of a manager. And I would never insinuate they are not doing their job. My comments were directed at the headhunter. I went on Keystone Municipality Solutions website. Their job board only has 4 jobs listed on that job board. That's concerning to me that if they only have 4 jobs listed and they're supposedly a professional headhunter, what are they really doing to find those candidates? Ours was the first one, and there's 3 others up until the end of October. I called Municipal Solutions. That is all the jobs they have posted. How can we rely on a headhunting firm who only has 4 positions open that supposedly has experience to find us candidates? But again, I reiterate my request for a public apology for the insults that were levied against me at the meeting on October 20th. In addition, let it reflect that Mr. Mackley also expressed comments, concerns, and he was not addressed in such a manner either. So why was I addressed in that manner, and no one else who asked questions about the township search addressed? He was just as pointed, just as diligent, if you will, in his comments as I was. But I was singled out. And because you opened with the comment directly to the comments that Mr. Mitchell had made in regard to the meeting minutes of my statement, your ending statement, there's no mistaking who it was directed to. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you hearing me out.
Thank you.
Let me just, we as a board and the staff in the building, a lot of things go on in a week. We could sit here all night talking about little details that happen on various projects and all. But, we were elected to make reasonable and sound decisions. We were given 3 different proposals from 3 different headhunting firms. This is a very specialized position here. You're not going to go up and down the highway and find people that would fill this position and do it well.
Agreed.
We were given 5 applicants, and I would call them quality applicants, but I would say they weren't probably the best fit for us. And there were more than 5, but they were not. They were deemed by Keystone Solutions not interviewable by us. They weren't. He decided, they're not going to be a good fit. So he's doing the best that he can. We had 2 other options for headhunting firms. Both of them required fees in the middle $30,000, which if that's what it takes to get the right person, fine. But there's no guarantees they're going to find the right person either. So, I think we took the best shot possible with Keystone because, the main search guy was a township manager. He has multiple contacts all around southeast Pennsylvania. I think we thought that was going to be the best chance for us to find a township manager. So, I take a little bit of offense myself when you say, you haven't been kept up with the details of this. Because, do you want an extra hour in every meeting for little details that,
10, 15-minute update, 5-minute update would be more than acceptable.
Okay, all right.
At each meeting, it's something we're highly invested in.
Here's your 1-minute update today.
Thank you.
There's possibly one other individual that we will be interviewing in the future.
Great.
So,
Great.
more than that, I can't really say anything.
And that's the only kind of update we're really looking for, is just hear where where we're at in the search. We've had X amount of candidates come forward. We've not been able to qualify any of them. The search continues. That's great.
It's,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
to add to that, I think we're gonna work our tail off to find the right person. When? I don't know.
Roll the dice.
But I can guarantee you, we are working honestly, seriously, and putting everything we can into it to find the right fit for our township, for our residents, to move forward in a positive way.
We as a board spent just about the whole day here today. It's been a long.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. I know you're working hard. Just the updates when we have to ask for them, it gets a little frustrating when they're not forthcoming from the board, and we have to pursue that.
Understood.
We may have one at the end of the next meeting, we don't know.
Awesome.
Let's hope and pray.
I'll be in attendance.
Okay, did I miss any other questions? Okay, so announcements, Monday, November 7th at 6 p.m., supervisor workshop meeting, budget related. Thursday, November 10th at 8 a.m., supervisor workshop meeting, budget related. Thursday, November 17th, Board of Supervisors meeting at 7 p.m. And we do not need an executive session for tonight, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Up to the full night.
Turns it-